Yeah, yeah. Coming up next on the Mental Health Matters with Marty show, we have none other than Dr. Margarita Story and Dr. Shon Stewart as we continue the conversation with the Cinderella Syndrome. Stay tuned. Hey, it's me, your boy Martina Sellers, coming to you live and in living color all the way from Southern California, as you can see, where the sun is always shining. We are so glad that you are here today. What's going on, everybody? Hope that you are doing well and that you're finding everything good. I am so excited about today's show and what we're doing as we continue. If you missed us 2 weeks ago, join us in now. Right now. But before we get started, let me do this caveat real quick so we know what we're doing. Again, the purpose of the Mental Health Matters with Marty show is to do this. We are a psychoeducational show, and that we're intended for educational purposes and discussion purposes only. We are not, let me repeat that, not N-O-T, a substitute for your mental health therapy, for seeing your psychologist or seeing your psychiatrist. Those of you who see a psychiatrist, you know who you are. But anyway, we are a supplement. We can be a part of your treatment plan. We can be a part of your spiritual plan, and we can be a part of your ride or die. But however, we are not a substitute for that. If you're experiencing any type of mental health crisis or any type of confusion whatsoever, come on, Dr. Stewart, please go to your nearest hospital or dial 911. But if not, y'all need to stay tuned because we got a show for you tonight. Now, how do you engage in the show? How do I get engaged, and how do I know that my questions and my thoughts and everything are being heard and seen? There's 2 ways that you can be engaged. One, as the sign below, I'm getting tongue-tied because I'm excited, y'all. Check out our Mental Health Matters with Marty page on Facebook, or if you're a YouTuber, go to Marcel Media Group on YouTube so that we can see your comments. Now, if you're on anyone else's pages or any other things, we are not ignoring you. Let me say that again. We are not ignoring you. However, if you want to see your comments being made and you want us to put your comments up or your questions up, you have to go to the Mental Health Matters with Marty page or the Marcel Media Group on YouTube. But other than that, hey, let us know you're listening. Let us know you are in the house. We also want you to invite people in the room. Invite them in the room because we have a conversation tonight. We are going to continue the conversation with none other than Dr. Margarita Story on the Cinderella Syndrome. But today we're going to flip the script a little bit. We're going to be talking about the prince, the power, the position, and the purpose of the prince in Cinderella. Too often, you know, the prince is kind of the undershadow. Can I say it that way, y'all? He's kind of just the trophy for Cinderella. But we're going to talk about what his position. We're going to talk about what his power, and we're even talk about what the purpose was. Because too many times in life we don't understand our power, we don't understand our position, and we definitely don't understand the purpose of where we land in this thing called life. But listen, y'all, I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm so glad to have joining us back as she's going to be launching her podcast and so many other things. None other than my sister from another mister. She is none other than Dr. Marguerita Storey. Hey, Marguerita, how you doing?
I am doing so well. So good to see you on this evening, Marty. Thank you for having me with you. Thank you for the work that you do. And
Listen, I
thank you for
appreciate
how
you.
you have been encouraging us every day to remain positive, but also
Thank you.
thank you for making sure that we are talking about those difficult things with our
Yeah.
mental health.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. How's everything in Philly going these days?
Everything is going marvelous. It is going marvelous, and I'm so grateful to God for it.
Listen, I'm so excited. Listen, for those of you who don't know, listen, Margarita, myself, and Dr. Shon, we're going to be hanging out in Houston this weekend, and I can't wait. I can't wait because we're going to have us a good time. We're going to have us a good time.
Yes,
But
yes,
listen,
yes.
2 weeks ago, you talked about part of your passion, the Cinderella Syndrome. For those
Mhm.
who may not have seen it and been with us, give us a reminder. Why does this speak so much to you and your passion about telling that story?
Well, because that was one of those stories that was shared with me when I
Mm-hmm.
was young. A time I had with my father that was being read to me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also something that kept me engaged. I loved that kind of underdog kind of story, and it
Mm-hmm.
was about a girl that went from obscurity to great notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something though that as I grew older though, it began to challenge some of my understandings that having an opportunity like that doesn't come to everybody, and especially
Right.
not to groups that look like me.
Right.
And then I also began to continue to look at it, and some of the things about her and her self esteem and other things like that
Right.
just began to leap off of the page, and it enabled me to start learning some things about myself. And as
Yeah.
I've moved around the country working with women in ministry and in outreach, it
Mm-hmm.
was one of those things that began to help me in an illustrative way to talk about
Yeah.
some difficult challenges that we have as women at times.
Yeah. Yeah. And this new Cinderella story, let me tell you, it did a twist on us. It did a
It
twist on
twisted.
us. It went from the fairy godmother father listen,
the
but I ain't
fairy,
mad. Yes,
the
baby,
fairy
he
god,
played that
the
role.
fairy god person, fairy god
Yes,
person.
very god person. Yes, we gonna be. But listen, I ain't mad, baby. He played that
Me
role and
either. He was killing. He
twirled.
was killing that orange. He was killing that
Yes,
orange
the
too.
Aaron, yes he was. Yes he was, and dancing
I,
and everything.
Yes, I loved it. I loved the music of it. I
Yeah,
loved the contemporary twist, but there were still some basic things that they did not leave from the original story, even though there
right.
are some more contemporary things that
Yeah.
show up in the
Mm-hmm.
story. Hmm.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
know you talked about a lot with Cinderella. We talked about Cinderella and society, Cinderella
Yes.
and self. You had this
Yes.
wonderful alliteration of S's with that. Refresh our memory about some of the concerns that you even saw that still remain true, whether we keep the traditional version of Cinderella or even the contemporary version, and why those spoke to you that way as well.
Well, when we start immediately with Cinderella, we see Cinderella and the circumstances that there are some times that even though that's not an S, it really sounds like
Hmm.
it is.
Yeah, right,
Um,
right.
but her circumstance and how she was attempting to handle loss and to continue moving forward in a time where she had very little control over
Hmm.
where she would be. and
Mm-hmm.
what she would be doing, and
Mm-hmm.
how that impacted her. And the truth of the matter is, whether it is in a fairy tale or a story, the truth of the matter
Mm-hmm.
is even as adults, there are circumstances we get in that are completely out of our
Mm-hmm.
control, and
Mm-hmm.
we've got to figure out whether Disney Cinderella or New Cinderella, how
Right.
we're going to deal with the circumstances that just come our way. But then also one of the things that just leapt off the page
Mm-hmm.
was Cinderella and her sisters, and
Yes.
how oppressive the sisters felt like they needed to be, in
Yes.
order for them to be who they thought they were. And
Mm-hmm.
even now, as a woman in ministry, there
Mm-hmm.
are women
Mm-hmm.
that struggle being the authentic women that they are without oppressing or
Mm-hmm.
suppressing, or trying to
Mm.
ruin someone else's reputation in order for them to feel as if they have
Wow.
some significance because of their own esteem and because of some societal things that they
Mm-hmm.
believe either gives them the right to do some things, or either
Mm-hmm.
they feel as if they have to have someone beneath them and not be able to
Mm-hmm.
walk beside them, and that continues on, whether it's in the church, whether it is on a job.
Mm-hmm.
No
Mm-hmm.
matter where we find ourselves, you see that underlying comparison and competing
Mm-hmm.
happening with women, and we struggle being authentically who we are, and then we struggle with
Right.
women who are able to stand and be who they are
Wow.
under any circumstance, because we
Mm-hmm.
want oppression, and we want everyone to be okay with it, as well. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
not there,
Mm-hmm.
we may create it.
Hmm. And I love it because we have normalized, and I said we've normalized putting people down. We've normalized trauma. We've normalized
Yes,
I'm better than you, so let me step on you. That
yes,
becomes, if we're not stepping on someone, it's almost like we're not great ourselves. We're not great unless we put
right.
someone down. We're not great
Yes,
unless I step on you to get to where I need to be,
yes,
in that.
yes,
And so that has been
yes,
a societal, especially in our culture,
yes,
almost like that barrels, in a crab mentality. Crabs in
yes,
a barrel. That's it.
yes,
And we have to change
yes.
the narrative of that. Yes. Yes.
We have
Well,
to
I'm
also
excited.
change
Listen,
our own
go ahead.
behavior. Mhm. No, I was
We
just
have to
saying,
change once
we
again.
have to change our own behavior. We really have to
That's
believe
it.
that we have value and virtue all on our
Yes.
own, not because of
Mm.
the cars, the cats, not because of an education, not because of a job, not because of how many children we
Right.
have, or because of our husband, or not because of the lack of husband, or not because we have children or we don't have
Mm.
children, or the color of our skin, or how tight in the waist and cute in the face we might be. Like, we've
Uh-oh.
got to get to the place. Well, yeah, doggone it. We
Come
got to
on.
get to the
Tight,
place.
tight in the waist and cute in the face. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, we tighten the waist and cute in the face, and then we think we got something going on. But baby, time is filled with swift transitions. Anyway,
You're
okay,
right. You're
sorry.
right. Listen. No, no, you always listen, Rita. I got nothing but love for you, baby. In that, I love and now tonight we want to talk about the power, the position, and purpose
Yes,
of the prince.
yes,
And as we
love
were
it.
talking about this 2 weeks ago, we thought it'd be great to bring in a prince himself,
Yes,
another man in here. You
yes,
used to growing up with all the brothers, so you're gonna be right at
yes, I
home
am.
with,
I'm
with
good.
two brothers with that. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Hey Kim, how you doing?
yes,
Says I agree. We need to
yes,
learn to love ourselves
yes.
from the inside out. Kim,
Absolutely,
you are
absolutely.
absolutely right.
Mhm.
Absolutely right. So listen, without any further ado, let's bring our brother in from Houston, none other than Doctor Bishop Elect Shon Stewart.
Well, good evening, family.
Good evening, Bishop. How are you?
We're
Hi,
good. We're
Bishop.
doing good. So good to lay eyes on both of you. I will see you in person in just a few minutes.
Yes.
Yes, listen,
Yes.
I'm so I couldn't wait till the day got over. I was getting through my therapy session, like, y'all, come on. If you got a problem, it's gonna have to wait till next Wednesday when I see y'all get back. Now
You'll be
hold on,
fine. You'll be fine.
you'll be all right. We just gonna do a quick triage. Get you some duct tape. It'll be all right. Don't argue.
A
Sleep
quick
in separate
triage
rooms
with
this
duct
week.
tape.
Oh,
You're
Y'all
gonna be all right.
horrible.
Listen,
Horrible.
listen, we got love for family, and I ain't seen y'all forever. I'm just
yeah.
excited to put eyes on you and just to hug on you and
To
love
be
on
in
you
the
in a
physical
godly way.
presence is just going to be awesome.
Yes,
Just to be
Yes.
together
it
physically
is.
is
It
awesome.
is.
So I'm
Yes.
It
excited.
really
Yes.
is.
I'm
Yes.
excited,
Yes.
Yes.
excited. I think this conversation is going to be great. There is a
Yes.
weight to this conversation that we have not talked
Mhm.
about, a WEI and a
Mm.
WAI, that I really
Mhm.
do think is
Uh-oh.
interesting in the parallelism of the conversation.
See, he didn't came in here with a
He
double
always
weight.
does. Yes. That's okay. Bring it.
But
Bring
I
it.
mean, but
Bring
but
it.
but let's be real.
Let's
The
talk.
truth
Yes.
is, no matter which side of the dynamic you sit on, you are
Mm-hmm.
still obligated to do your work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the work of making yourself better is your work. Regardless if
Mm.
you're dealing with the traditional issues of your past or the modern
Right.
contemporary concerns that you have birthed on your own, either
Mm-hmm.
side, you are still in the center and it becomes your work.
Mhm.
Mm.
And so, when we were looking at this, I got funny with all of these alliterations, the power, the position, the purpose of the prince and Cinderella. I'm okay with that. But then I would love to argue his personal proclivities because we didn't really see those things.
Mhm. Mhm. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Because
In
because
all
a
of those
lot of times,
words.
we always tell people to, you need to come out the closet and talk about things. That technically is really not what the scripture says.
Mm.
Mm.
The scripture says go
Mm.
in the closet and shut up the
Mhm.
Mm.
door. What it says.
That's right.
Mm.
What my issue is not what you take in the closet. My concern is what you bring out of it.
Yes.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
a lot of times we're hanging bodies versus pulling down
My
skeletons.
God. Oh my!
Oh,
Wait. So,
that's
for those in the back of the balcony where the speaker's not that good, because we've been in COVID, so we ain't had the time to go back up there and make sure it's right and rewire it. Um, but we hanging bodies in the closet, but not pulling out skeletons, and then speaking to those saying, "But can these dry bones live?" And speaking to them in that way.
With the
Okay. Okay.
expectation that because you're
Uh oh.
speaking to them, that's going to change what it is.
Mhm.
I'm a
Mm.
firm
Mhm.
believer that if
Mm.
you really want to find something out, now I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna push the house, and then I'm gonna stop talking.
Come on. Push
I
it.
just
Push it.
said this
Push it.
today at the school where I work at the school. I made this observation:
Mm-hmm.
student behavior will not change until adult behavior change. Student success
Mm.
will not show itself until adult success show itself. In
Mm.
both cataclysmic concerns, we must have one consistent variable of one person showing up consistently and
Mm.
consecutively prepared to do the work of growth. So
Mhm.
this
Mm.
really is what Apostle Ayanna Van Zant said. It's true. You have to call a thing a thing, or if you want to go to the scripture, you have to call those things that be not as though they were. So
Going
if you're
on
not
here.
seeing success in your classroom, it is because you say that the children are hard, they're stubborn, they're da 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 da.
Right.
So really, what you're speaking is what's coming into existence. If that's true in the classroom, then I would have to think that in this castle you call your home, the reason
Mm.
it's still a castle and it has not turned into a home isn't because of what you see. It really is what you say.
Mhm.
Hmm. So if I'm
And
hearing you
even
right
the
now, and I'm
speaker.
agreeing with Kim, you're calling us to have a behavior mod plan, behavior modification that needs to
I'm
happen.
going
Not only
further,
okay,
Marty, because
come on,
we build modification plans, but we build them without the onus of checking them. My problem with plans is that we build
right?
them and then we don't come back and check on them. We don't check metrics. We don't build, and
Mm-hmm.
we hear
Mm-hmm.
these terms so much now. Oh, we need a criteria for success. No, I need a progress measure because I might not
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
always
Mm-hmm.
get to
The
success. But if I
deliverables,
can just
right?
get a
Right.
step of progress in, I might feel all
Mhm.
right about going down the street of success.
Mhm.
Because what we
Mm.
paint is that the street of success is smooth, streets paved with gold, and it's going to be howdy
Mm-hmm,
howdy and
mm-hmm.
Sunday. That sermon and
And
that
never
ship
goodbye.
sailed many years ago.
Mhm.
I don't want streets
Yeah.
paved with gold because what they don't tell you is what the price of the gold is. I don't
Mm-hmm,
don't
mm-hmm.
want the mansion because then that makes me responsible for cleaning it up. Can I just have peace? No gold, no mansion. Can I just have peace? But what is the price of your peace, Cinderella?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Uh-oh,
And
uh-oh.
I want to get to the prince. I want to get to the prince because even the cultural norms that we suggest Cinderella was dealing with,
Talk
also
now.
Mm-hmm,
the prince was also dealing with them. And so
mm-hmm.
there were unspoken expectations that young
Yes.
Hmm.
man had to fulfill, that no one asked him. No one even
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the story, it doesn't even show that someone prepared him for
Oh,
what was
come
Right.
on.
expected of him.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
And so
good.
that
That's
was
good.
one of the things that I wanted to deal with, was that we've got a Cinderella syndrome, but we also have brethren who are not prepared for unspoken
Ooh,
expectations.
Hmm. Or
that's cast
even
down on.
how to
Mm.
call the unspoken expectation out once you get to the place that the pressure of it is more than what you can bear. Because
Absolutely.
what we
Mm.
Absolutely.
do, especially men, and
Mm-hmm.
regardless if you black, white, Asian, or whatever, this is a universal men tactic.
It
Before we'll
is.
ask you for help, we'll suffer in silence.
Hmm.
Mm, mm. And that's
And
part of my thing here.
that's seen in
Continue to suffer.
Cinderella.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We
That's
saw it
And
with
seen
the
in
then
prince.
we teach that even though we don't tell our children to come learn this, children pay more attention to what you do before they
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
understand what you say. And so
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
if you do not change not just your behavior, but your perspective about your behavior and the responsibility that comes with it, Prince, then the power or your position is useless because your proclivities are demoralizing both of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
also to what you're saying, Dr. Sean, it was also this in whether the old or the new, with the prince
Mm-hmm.
as well as Cinderella, where they had their own desires and struggled articulating them well.
Hmm.
Oh, oh.
That
Mm-hmm.
they were not able to communicate effectively with those that were responsible for their growth and their development. And one of the
Hmm.
things I believe that is seen within both of the stories is their lack of capacity to communicate. And I believe that same uh, uh, um, behavior we're finding in our young people today as well as our adults. And so I believe
Yes.
that's why we have the
Yes.
violence that's around, the aggression. I mean, you can just go to the grocery store and have to have an aggressive encounter just to buy your groceries, because
Mm-hmm.
of our inability
Yeah.
to communicate effectively that I'm going in a direction that is either unhealthy for me, that wasn't a part of my dream, I'm unprepared for,
Right.
and I need some assistance. But also understanding that I've got to put this pressure on me because it's a requirement. And
Hmm.
Mm.
sometimes will go through things saying, I know this is what is expected of me, and not living
Mm-hmm.
our truth and what we really believe we've been called to do. And I saw that with the prince, and I saw the struggle. It felt like physically,
Mm-hmm.
but one that he felt like he needed to succumb to. And I would love to hear you guys' perspectives on that.
Can we pull up the comment, Daryl, once again, that Kim had on there, because she talked about if people are not aware that something is wrong with their behavior, they won't know there is a need a need for change. Then how do we effectively help adults, aka the king and queen, to recognize a need to change? Dr.
Well,
Stewart, I'm gonna throw that out to you first.
I want to push a little further because she's right about one thing. The only problem I have with this statement is that adults know, they are
Mm,
keenly aware of their behavior.
right.
Because when I call you on it, you're quick to defend it. That's how I know you own what it is, even though you don't tell me what you're doing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
people who pretend that they don't know something is wrong, they're not running from what's wrong. They're running from accountability.
Correct.
And what people want, you want partners, you want friends, you want colleagues, you want family members that will agree with you and won't hold you accountable. People who love you hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Folk who
So
don't
is
love
there
you
a
let you
love?
down anyway and do anything and don't hold you accountable. Because here is what's funny. You know that things need to change. You know, because here is what's funny. We look at
We
our
all know
clocks
it.
and we pay attention to what time it is, but time is
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant without knowing what season you are in.
Mm,
Right. Right.
The
mm.
Right.
season, and so then when I look at this thing, adults, because here's what's not, this is what we're not talking about. She's onto something. If you read this backwards, what she's really talking about isn't the adult. She's saying that the adults are not recognizing the need to change, where really it's the change that needs to find the adults.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because the change never moved from where it was. It was waiting on people to arrive to where it should be. Because what I'm learning, my daddy said people lie, their patterns do not. You can get a new relationship, but you're going to still bring the same pattern.
But how do we now interrupt those negative patterns that we know have not been working? How do we disrupt that?
You got to
How
come.
do
So
we?
here's the one thing I have learned, Marty. We have got to be okay with having a conversation of truth with facts without feelings.
Oh
Have a
no, that
conversation of
doesn't happen.
truth. It does. We do it all the time in corporate America. We come when you
What?
get
But
hired,
but
we
in
hire you.
corporate America,
Right, right. We when you come to get hired, we hire you on a set of facts. When you get fired, we fire you on a set of facts.
on a set of facts,
When you get your paycheck on a set of facts.
the fact that you did the job.
We we can hold truthful conversations if we trust the mouth that is coming from.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
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 Because I will hear from Dr. Stewart. Margarita can call me and be like, boy, look, you need to go take that post down. I don't know what you're going through, go take that because I trust the mouth that it's coming from.
Right,
Right.
right, right.
Like you
And
gotta
that's
have
what
some
Kim was
people
saying.
in your
Yes.
life that you trust the mouth that is coming from. Because I know her heart. She's not gonna bring me somewhere that's not gonna hurt.
Yes.
And if she does have to hit me to hurt me, to help me to get to where I gotta go, that lick isn't to
Yes.
make me stay where I am. That lick is to help me move on from where
To,
I am.
to better
Because a
you.
lot of
To
times
better
we
you.
get stuck on stupid in our own
Uh
thoughts,
oh. Uh oh. Uh oh.
trying
Yes.
to manage a perception that does not even exist.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If I could add to that, though, Dr. Shon, too, I think it's also this issue of culture that we're dealing
Hmm.
with that does
Yes.
not deal with character, and will give every excuse for the lack of character and
Hmm.
integrity. And so back to what Kim was saying, and what you were suggesting as well, it is almost impossible to change if your character is
Talk.
not strong enough to be able to look at yourself not through the lens of culture, but through the
Mm.
lens of
Mm.
what
Hmm.
you know. And that are your basic truths, right and wrong, the word of God, whatever it is that you use as your litmus test,
Mm-hmm. As your
being
measures.
even,
Mm-hmm.
But see,
however
that's
you
just
measure.
it. She said it. She said it. Whatever you use for your truths. Here is
Yes,
that in and of itself is the conversation, Dr. Stewart. Because what are your truths? Are you spiritual today? Are you chakra today? Are you Christian
that's
tomorrow?
right.
Are you Hindu on Thursday? So you get falafel? Like what? Because we change according to what fits for. Well, I'm just
The
saying
wind.
we
Mm-hmm.
change according to what works for us in the situation versus sticking to
Absolutely.
what we know to be true and then doing the work to smooth out the things that don't belong.
And
We
our
are
culture
obligated
accepts
the
it.
culture
Our
Mm-hmm.
because
culture
we're
accepts it.
because when we cancel people, you're not just canceling what happened, you're canceling the
Right.
past and you're killing your ability to go forward in your future. When you cancel, you're not just canceling one thing, you're canceling across the
Mm-hmm.
scope of things. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you try to resuscitate what you murdered, you can't, because the same hands you're asking for healing are the same hands that hurt.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And
And
the
and
challenge
and
is this. You guys hit the nail on the head. I think when you're talking about whenever someone comes into my sessions, the first thing I ask them, well, who are you? And you'd be surprised how many people don't know who they are. And I think that's what we saw with this prince. He was struggling with who his identity was. He knew what he was supposed to do, and that was expected upon him because of his lineage. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, his father didn't properly prepare him, like many of us. I this past week, and I shared this. I had a father fly out of state to because he wanted to repair the relationship with he and his adult son, and just sitting there and saying, "Well, who are you?" And I was just sitting there with that dad. I said, "I hear what you're saying, but I'm kind of like the son. I want to know what are you not saying, and what truths have you not revealed that is creating this block? Because you have an expectation of your son, but you have not clearly shown and told your son where you have come from." Then, when the
Mm-hmm.
father began to reveal all these things about his father leaving them, and then his mother saying, "Well, he left. I'm tired too," and then just out. So both parents are out, and he's now left to raise his own siblings. And with that, it created this new layer of understanding that they can now
Mm-hmm.
begin to understand, one, where the hurt was, how do we now correct the hurt, and now how do I support my son in his future and being the head of his own household. But we don't have those conversations, especially fathers and sons, and that was quite evident in this Cinderella, that there was a
Yeah.
gap and a lack of proper communication, of sharing emotions, feelings, history. It's a shame that we
Yes.
as a culture don't even understand our history anymore.
Yes. And I think that speaks to the power, Marty. That's
Mm-hmm.
where our true power comes in, is being
Mm-hmm.
able to communicate. And then when you are asking us this question that has to go to the root of it, who are you?
Right.
It has to be communicated, and you've got to get to the place where we begin to give our children the gift called
Yes.
language, and
Yes.
where adults begin to figure out more than the "you know what I mean" to end
Mm-hmm.
every
Right.
sentence. We've got to struggle to find
Mm-hmm.
words that communicate my hurt or my disappointment or my inability to understand where I am with you in relationship to you, or to
Mm-hmm.
the expectations that are around me, because that showed that the prince was powerless in these expectations
Right.
and the
Mm-hmm.
assumptions that everyone had. It's like, you old enough, it's time. Who
Mm-hmm.
told him that? And even his father was making assumptions that, did you see me, or did you see my life, you must know all of the details. And we don't always know the details, and just
And
as you're saying.
Dr.
Mhm.
Story, oh my God, you nailed it. Because here is one thing we don't talk about. Whenever, especially in conversations, you'll say something and then you say, "Oh, you know what I mean." I'm going to say
Right.
yes out of respect, not yes out
Yeah.
of comprehension.
Yes.
A lot of
Exactly.
times, people, right, because we will say things that we do not mean out of the concern that we are not responding to those things as though they are ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then those
Mm-hmm.
conversations come at a price of your ethics, your integrity, the price of the
Mm-hmm.
relationship, intimacy. Because here is what
Mm-hmm.
happens:
Mm-hmm.
the power dynamic is what we're really not talking about. Because watch what happens,
Mm-hmm.
Daddy. Well, didn't you see me? Well,
Yes.
if you
Mm-hmm.
did, it's condescending, because you mean to tell me you spent your life with me and didn't capture this? And so, how
Mm-hmm.
did you miss this stuff? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, if you
Mm-hmm.
go to the other side of that, his position really wasn't the conversation at hand, it was his disposition that was at hand.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Trisha has a comment, says, but did you notice when the prince chose Cinderella, he first thought he should be enough for her to say yes, even though she had her own dreams. He still had
Hmm.
his father's or societal's expectations on Cinderella. That's a
Hmm.
great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Rita, speak to that
Yeah.
some.
Well, I
she,
think it's pluralistic. I think when we look at it, it's a
mm-hmm,
dualism that's there
mm-hmm,
because number one, she had a dream, and her dream was quite complicated because her
right.
also in her
Ooh,
dream was to be chosen by a prince, and so because she wouldn't have been tripping about the outfit and going to the party, because
right.
and so there was a lot being said and unsaid all at the same time.
At once, like in life.
All just like in life, that all at the same
Mhm.
time we're saying pluralistic or dual things with one
Mm-hmm,
statement. And
Mhm.
so this drive to get addressed, this drive to be accepted, this drive to be where everyone else was a part of what she also desired. And then when coming with a choice, it was,
mm-hmm.
although I'm here, although I did everything to get your attention, although I
Dr.
wanted to
Marcus,
participate,
you get a
although I
chance to make
wanted
a
to
point.
be chosen, now I want also to be able to be a dressmaker. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's also our schizophrenia that we have as
Thank
well,
you.
because
Okay,
it's
there
like
it is. I
saying,
was waiting.
either you
There it
want to
is.
be
Okay, I
here
was
or you don't
there
want to
it
be
is.
here. Either you want to be a dressmaker or you
I
don't
was
want to
waiting
be a
for this.
dressmaker. Now you got his attention, and now his attention is not enough. And so I think we do the brethren like that all the time. And I think sometimes
Right.
men are just like, I'm done. I don't know what you want. I don't know who you want. I don't. You done came
Where
almost
you want
naked.
it.
But
I
wait,
seen
before you
you
even
there.
go
You
down that
talking
path,
about?
let's have this conversation. Most
Okay.
men are not most men are not equipped with the language to talk about their emotions. So
Oh,
then
this
when
is
you
true.
Absolutely.
come in and ask me how I
Abs.
watched my mother. My daddy would come home. If my mother would ask my daddy how much air is in the tire, he could tell her that. Ask him how much money was in the checking account or the savings account, he could address that. Walk in and
Mhm.
ask him how he feel, and you would almost do better going to find a
Mm-hmm.
pit bull that had been starving than you would sit there through that conversation. Because the answer he would give would be, I don't know. And him
Yeah.
saying he didn't
Right.
know was not out of disrespect. We never saw him take the time to do the work to learn what his emotions were. So a lot of times
Mhm.
that mother would walk by and tell him,
Mm-hmm.
now look, Ben, John did such and such a thing. And daddy would look at it, it's all right, you can be happy. And he would start talking about how proud he was, da 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 da. And then if it was wrong,
Not you. Wait,
mommy
wait,
walked
wait.
by, you need
That
to
you can
get
be
him. And
happy.
then and he would light me up. And so either side, he needed someone to point to that for him. To his
Mm.
demise, when mother died, daddy sat in the bedroom for almost 12 hours and he sat there and I said, Daddy, what's wrong? And he said, Shon, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to feel. Stop. You've been married
Mm.
almost 51 years to the same woman. She died today in front of your eyes and you don't know what to feel. And he just sat there and he said, well, you know, your mama would always come tell me what I needed to do.
Yeah.
What that taught me is that one, he trusted her
Mm.
enough to
My
fill
God.
the weak spaces in his life,
Mhm.
but he didn't grow enough to independently stand and communicate it on his own.
Mhm.
We
And
have to
how
I,
teach
many
men
men
that
are
it
like
is
that? Yep.
okay to be attached to your emotions and explain those things. But it also, family, we have to make it where they're not penalized for saying how they feel and made to feel weak because they shed tears because it hurt.
yeah.
And that's
Well,
exactly what happened because the. Go ahead, read it. Please jump in.
I just wanted to put a little bit on this. I don't want to be so hard on the generation previous to us because we're not that far out of slavery either, where too
Mm-hmm.
much feelings can get you killed. You know, and I
Mm-hmm.
do realize you got to be in touch with some stuff, but they lived through a time where you can't be feeling. You got to be keenly aware of the facts of your surroundings in order for you to survive. And so there still was a survival strength there
Mm-hmm.
for men of at least my father's age in his 80s,
Right.
and it was a survival strength. It was not the best psychological and
Mm-hmm.
emotional strength, but but they just had a strength because of other aspects. And I do agree that language is necessary, but I believe also language could have got them killed too. And
Uh-huh.
so I think
Yes. Yes.
it's just a lot that's going on. But but to the point though that you're making as well, Sean, you got language, and you got language that also supported your voracious appetite for reading and learning, which continued to grow your appetite
Right.
to communicate with others and to be one that could give language and insight and wisdom. And one of the things I think when I watch the Prince, whether contemporary or the
The
originals,
traditional. Hmm.
we the traditional ones, we've got to ensure that our men, as Sean has said, are able to communicate not only feelings but facts.
Mm.
I've watched the news and have seen men, no matter what, struggle to communicate facts, especially when trauma is
Right.
connected to it. And it's difficult because we need our men to be
Hmm.
strengthened not only physically, but because they represent our community, they speak for us, and we need them to speak for us, not
Mm-hmm.
just physically. We need our, especially, I've been black the whole time I've been on earth. So we need our black men. Um,
You know what? Story. That's why you my girl, because I've been right along with you and ain't changed a step since I got here.
no, but our black men, we need them to be better orators. When you go back about 60, 70 years, we had black men that could talk and could communicate effectively the issues that were going on in our communities and the inequities that were going on. They were not always the most learned men, but they were
Mm-mm.
Right.
orators that
Mm-hmm.
could
Right.
speak
Well, that was a part
truth
of
to
our
power.
culture and who we. Yes. Yes. With and
But
Marguerite, to
also,
go
Marty,
right with your story.
we also have to own that language is culture, right? And
Well, it
so
is.
for it is. And so language is culture. And so one of the things that we didn't do well is language migrated and we didn't move with it.
Okay.
Because when you
Okay.
start having conversations, and let's just say you use proper grammar, the first thing people will tell you is that you sound a certain color.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Versus, I have done my work and I have done my studying and I have consumed words that puts me in a position to parenthetically speak to certain things. Instead of giving
Come
me my
on.
credit for that, you would rather demoralize me and degrade me because I sound like something that you have not arrived to. It shouldn't be that same thing.
Well, we have to learn how to embrace each other in our growth modes, which we fail to do, and then
Mm.
being able to express trauma as well. Because every black man that comes through my practice now, I go right here. How are you doing? Am
Hmm.
I? No, 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 no. I don't want to just know how you're doing on the surface level, but let's get into the and how are you responding and reacting towards? We cannot ignore all the George Floyd. We cannot ignore Breonna Taylor. We can't ignore all these young men who have been shot by police. How are you processing all of that? Because that too could be you, especially depending on where they're at. Because we can no longer. Am I? No, you're not. Because I'm not all
Mhm.
right. I'm
And we
struggling
have
Man,
with
to
it.
own that when you call me out, when I tell you I'm all right, when you call me out and say I'm not all right, I need to own that you are really loving me as your brother and you're
Yeah.
holding me accountable to my actions, my words,
Yes.
and my responsibilities to myself, not to you, to myself.
Right.
Because I think
Right.
somebody said somewhere in here, like, to thine own self be true. The
yeah,
problem
Mhm.
is
somebody.
you hadn't been with yourself in so long, you hadn't seen truth
We
since you
haven't.
walked with Moses across the Red Sea.
Oh Jesus, Jesus,
Yeah,
that's a long time.
yes.
We look.
Marty,
I did what
I
the
have
song said. I searched all over. hadn't seen. Okay, anyway,
I
to
have
find your
a
truth.
comment. I have a comment
Yeah, go
from my
ahead.
a sister
Yeah.
in Germany that's on with us, and she said,
Hmm.
"I
Okay.
still believe a lot of people now consider it a weakness to show or voice their feelings or voice that they have need." She said, "I'm from Germany. This is my
Hmm.
sister Melanie, that's from
Hey,
Germany," and she was
Melanie.
saying,
Hey,
"Yeah,
Melanie.
yes, the cultures are different, but she's still saying that that still seems to be a sign of weakness." And so
Yes.
this is, we don't just have an American audience, we have somebody that's international coming on saying that
Hmm.
even in
Hmm.
Germany that same truth seems to be there as well.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly what Kim is saying. Stop teaching our young black boys that expressing their feelings is a sign of weakness, and I think we have to teach them as age appropriateness in there. As they grow, now what do we do it? Because whenever I see, and I go back to this theory, y'all, we if we don't teach them how to express things, we begin to label them in the school system. Dr. Sean and I have been talking about this. You start to see them around
Hmm.
third, fourth grade now being pushed back to the back of the classroom. We then label them as oppositional, angry all the time. Well, now
Hmm.
if we were sitting in another kid that doesn't look like them, that might have less pigmentation or none whatsoever, we might say, oh, they're a little depressed. Well, why can't the black boy be depressed? Why can't we see what's going on? Because whenever I see someone, a man, especially a black man that's angry, I go right and say, what's really bothering you? Why are you depressed? What has bothered you and hurt you this time? And then nothing is bothered. No, 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 no. Your tone already told me something's bothering. I'm not
Mhm,
here to judge, but I know that you
mhm.
are hurting, and
Yes.
anger, irritation, frustration. That's a sign of anxiety and depression, and in most cases PTSD. And so
Mhm,
I'm not going to let you just sit here and say you're not, because
But
we can all
you
be
know what
confrontational. Go
aggravates
ahead.
me with this whole step? That my male counterparts of another race can
Mm-hmm.
be depressed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
get a gun, come shoot up a school, and he
Mm-hmm.
needs therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I get upset at school and yell, I need to be arrested.
Right.
mhm,
If
Right.
I display any level of anger or emotional attachment to a process, then I am labeled
Just
as the angry
irritation.
black man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mhm,
Versus my counterpart who shows up and does the same thing and gets grace. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
arguing that we should have two sides of everything. I'm just
No.
simply saying this is the rule. If I'm
Then let's
human,
keep it.
regardless of my race, my skin, my culture, or my reality, the rule should just be applied universally across the board. It shouldn't be
mhm.
open for interpretation based on my socioeconomic status, my spiritual
But it
beliefs,
is.
or
You
my
know
sexual
it
practices,
is.
because in the educational setting, none of that matters. So it says. But then when we
But we
get
know it
down to
does
the
in both the
systems,
educational and in the psychological. Come on.
and so then when we start
Well,
talking about applying rules, we don't, the person who applies the rules do not apply them the same. Here is a good example. All of these people lied about these paycheck programs, the PPP loan, right? They lied, right? One man took millions of dollars, got 6 to 18 months. Black man
Mm-hmm.
made almost $150,000 and was sentenced to 38 months. How? In the same
Mm-hmm.
judicial system, in the same state, by the same judge. How?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
We
then
already
we
know what
have
the
to
how.
own that when we start talking about accountability, that we are subjected to not just the race, the creed, but we are also subjected to your made up thoughts about who I am based on how I physically present and non-verbally
Mm-hmm.
respond,
Mm-hmm.
parenthetically
Well,
Mm-hmm.
speaking.
Go
can
ahead.
I put something else in here? If we could go back to Cinderella,
I see
Cinderella has
you,
a
Kim. Mm-hmm.
kind of a Latin look to her. So
Okay.
her
Oh yeah.
ethnicity is brown. I would
Mm-hmm.
suggest,
Mm-hmm.
where her
Mm-hmm.
sisters look Caucasian. Let me say this:
Mm-hmm.
the initial Cinderella, her only dream was to be married. Now
Mm-hmm.
we have a brown woman who she want to be married and she want to have a business, and the business is the bigger thing for her. This is what I'm throwing out there. Y'all can get mad at it if you want to. I'm with Shon a little bit. Really don't care what nobody think about it. But
At
as
all.
a black
At
woman,
all,
as a
Dr.
black
Stewart.
woman, it has been such a challenge to have my white counterparts who, if they break a toenail, the
Uh-oh.
expectation is that they would be at home for the next 6 days for it to at least begin to grow back naturally before they put pressure on their foot again. And with us, we can have a foot on our throat, carrying children on our back, being beat the hell out of by everybody
Mm-hmm.
around us. And you're
Mm-hmm.
still supposed to have enough grace. You're still supposed to be able to shondo, rondo, hondo, and still be able to be, the video vixen. You're still supposed to
Come
be
on.
able to have it all together. And we treat Caucasian women as if there's a precious portion of them, and black women as if you ought to be able to take it.
Mm. Mm.
Without pain, regard, or even feelings. Yes.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, yes. Because
Period.
let's get real. Because we're not talking about it. Let's get real. Let's walk on this conversation. A boyfriend, girlfriend comes up missing. We call out everybody to go find her, right?
I see you, Raylene. Uh-huh.
Boyfriend
Oh.
goes home to Florida,
Ooh.
disappears, no nothing. How many
Right.
black kids
You
are
better be
missing
out the
right now
news.
and we can't
In
seem to get
Atlanta.
people out to research?
Right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
come
How,
on.
how many
Mm-hmm.
black men? We got black girls. I sat in a call 2 weeks ago. I got black girls who are sex trafficked out of
Mm-hmm.
Houston to Louisiana to a whole nother
Mm-hmm.
country. When we found
Mhm.
that the kid is missing, they say we'll look for him in 72 hours. If the parents don't go back and bring it before the institution, there is
Right.
no response. But then
It's
let this one person come up missing, body is found, discovered. We've already ruled it a homicide. The person that is of
Mhm.
right.
interest seems to not be found. We got all these resources for this one person in humanity, but we have
Mhm.
no resources for other people of the same humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So then the
Right.
question has to be raised in this power position differential. What is the purpose of having laws if they're not able to be applied evenly across the board?
And not just laws, but human compassion.
Compassion,
Compassion.
Human
Compassion.
compassion.
humanity, yes.
Just human
Yes.
compassion. There's Dr. Lely on my page said Zora Neale
Uh-huh.
Hurston said that black women are the mules of society.
Mules.
Uh,
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Yes.
And back to my point of Cinderella, this new Cinderella, it is heralded as amazing and contemporary and the right thing to want to work and do. And I ain't saying don't work, but let me tell you what I know.
Right.
Like my eyes are brown. Ain't no way I'm gonna be a princess and have a job. I'm gonna be chilling. Somebody else gonna be handling it. And why can't somebody dark be able to sit up and be like, "Yo, this whole kingdom is mine. I got my queendom, and it's about to go down." And for us to see the image of a queen in that
Right.
kind of way, and we even had a problem with the little black queen. She had to come back home. Well,
Right.
she was a
Right.
princess. She had to come back home. She had to give up her own title in order for her to be able to do it because it was
she sure
something
did
about
because she couldn't
she had
connect with
to
people.
Yes.
because it was
She had
something
to.
about the way she was trying to
Yes.
stand up for herself, and it was a threat to others. And all I'm saying is that with this Cinderella syndrome, it is applauded that this girl does not want to be royal,
Mm. And
that
is it
she would
mirroring real
prefer to be
life?
regular. Yeah.
When we look at
You all
Meghan
right.
Markle and all that, and we're saying that is this an example of story and life matching hand in hand? Because it upset, even though we know that she is not the first black royalty to come up in
She not.
that
Her
in
name was
England.
Charlotte, doggone it. Queen Charlotte.
You know I love
If we're
y'all.
gonna talk
Oh my
about the
God.
history, let's talk about it right. You might store it because we want to forget that Charlotte was present, but she was here.
Mm-hmm.
But we should be
Mm-hmm.
accustomed, as much as I hate to say this, we should be accustomed to history being whitewashed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but at some point we all are tired of it, and that's why I say we have to start writing and subscribing to our own stories. We have to start
Mm-hmm.
writing and creating
And
our own
publishing and printing the
narratives. And
stories
there we go.
so that people are because what I'm learning is that it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are and what your
Right.
spiritual practices are. History does not change just because the present perceives it different.
Correct.
Yes, it's the same. It's a
The history is
y'all.
the same. It's almost like the interpretation of the holy text. You can't I don't care how much you want to make a word mean something, it does not change the intent or the integrity of the original text. So
Hmm.
you can misinterpret it and we can say that, but let's not put the onus of your misinterpretation on the original person's intent. I'm pointing to that for one reason. When we look at Cinderella, a lot of times we put things on her that were not her own. And if
Right.
we look at what's
Right
happening then and what's happening now, the same thing is
now.
what's happening at school with our
Mm-hmm.
we're asking kids to
Yes,
be
Virginia.
athletes in junior high prepared to go to college for to play professional football. We are pressurizing our kids to perform in places and in areas that they should not be. Simone Biles said it well. You left me with this and did
Hmm.
not care enough to come see about me after I told you my
Yes.
truth. So then the question
Yes.
we
Yes.
have to own as adults, and I'm going to go a little further. The question we have to own as a Black cultural institution is when do we believe the evidentiary truth of those we are responsible for ensuring their future? What
Mm,
price must they pay before we find out that what they're saying is true?
is true.
The
But
FBI didn't just drop the ball, humanity dropped the
Right.
ball.
Right. But culture overrides what we know
truth.
is right. And it is truth. We've got to get to the place where we stop allowing culture to dictate what we
What truth is.
desire.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but what we desire, what is right and wrong. There are some things that are just innate within us that we got to begin to go back to and stop allowing systems and structures to dictate that to us. And we've got to begin to respond counterculturally. And I mean that as Christians, we've got to begin to
Yes.
stop shaped and framed by what the culture demands of us and stand on the word of God. We've got to be able to do that in the way we rear our children, in our expectation of systems and structures that are supposed to be designed to support them. And we've got to begin to speak in such a way. If somebody has some language, someone needs to speak in such a
Listen.
way
Hmm.
that ensures and demands that change begins to come, because we speak in forked tongue now
Mm.
because of conveniences and because culture dictates what we desire, and we've got to get out of that.
Wow. Okay, listen, y'all. Oh my God, this has been so amazing. We are at our hour. Can you believe it?
Are you for real?
Time is. I'm for real. I'm for real. We are at our hour.
Your clock
Listen, we
broke.
only. Listen, Doctor Bishop Elect Shon. First and foremost, we are both. I speak for myself, Margarita, and the Mac in the back, Daryl. That we
Mhm.
are so godly proud of you, and we are so excited to be celebrating this elevation service with you on this coming weekend. And
Thank
we
you. I
thank you for
am
yes. There we
excited.
go. Come on. Yes. Don't play with us. This is just how
Not
we
at all.
roll.
Listen,
But
listen. Get all roads lead to Houston for September 25th. Get here. I promise you, we have something. The consecration is great. And I'm excited. I'm excited that people are coming to
Mm-hmm.
share with me in this great exchange. But what would
Yes.
make my life more exciting than anything is if somebody gets saved, somebody
Yeah.
learns about Jesus, they learn that God loves them in
Yes.
spite of and because of, that they find out that there is a seat for them at this grand table called God's table, and that we are here
Yeah.
to serve them. Because out of all of this, Marty, I'm excited that all of that's coming, but at the end of the day, I'm just a servant. I don't need a spotlight to do my work. Just
Mm-hmm.
let's get to work, because there are too many people who are waiting on us to get in a position to serve versus getting in a position to be
Wow.
served.
Yes.
These garments,
Yes.
I said this to my team the other day, all these robes, all this regalia, these are work clothes. These are not high
Mm-hmm.
fashion uniforms. These are work
Come
clothes.
on. Work clothes.
And
My God.
if you buy these clothes to be seen, then you should not buy the clothes, because you buy the clothes to serve.
Mm, mm, mm.
And so we are servants. And so I'm excited that people believe the God in me, and that they're crazy enough to trust the hands that God gave me. And if they crazy enough to show up, I'm spiritual enough to be there to help lead them into the next level of what this thing called ministry is. So yes, I'm excited. Get to Houston. Y'all be safe when we get here. I promise you, we're going to church well, we're going to eat good, and we're going to fellowship like it's our last time, right?
That's right. I can't wait. I get to see y'all in a few
Yes.
hours. It is so exciting. Listen, Dr. Shon Stewart, Bishop-elect Stewart, we are so
Yes, sir.
godly proud of you and so glad that you have joined us. Dr. Story, we can't say enough about you as well,
At
and the way
all.
that God is revealing and giving you this amazing Cinderella Syndrome. Do we have her thumbnail up for the podcast at all, Daryl, from the last show? Okay,
Are we
we'll
doing
have
a
it ready
part
for
three of
next.
this? I'm just checking. I'm asking for a friend.
Are you coming on? Can you come back in 2 weeks?
I just need an invite. I can make the rest happen. Seems to
Okay,
be
so
that
can
this
we continue?
iPad.
Can we continue this conversation?
I would love it.
Listen,
We've gotten
I
some
got to
great
go study
reviews
some
on
more.
my end. Yes,
That is
yes,
amazing. Listen.
yes.
I love you both so much,
I
and
love you too.
Daryl, we're going to just kind of go almost straight to the close of this, but I love you guys so much. We are so excited, and listen, this conversation has to continue, and we want to invite others in. So God bless you both. Know that we love you. We will see you. We're gonna do something. Y'all stay tuned, because we're gonna do something live while we're down there. If we get to go on Facebook Live
Yes,
real quick
sir.
and show some stuff,
Yes,
we're gonna be doing
sir.
some stuff out in Houston. So until then, as we always say, don't continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow
That's
of
right.
shame. But we want you to speak up, speak out, and live. And as we always say, always remember to enjoy your life. God bless you. I'll see y'all in Houston.
See you soon. Bye bye.